Chapter 3 of The Harbor. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Tom Weiss. The Harbor by Ernest Poole. Chapter 3. I have tried to tell his story as my father felt it, at the times when he took it out of himself and made him forget himself and me. But there were other times when he remembered himself and me, and those were the times that hurt the most. For in that new humility in his eyes and in his voice I could feel him then preparing us both, me to see why it was that he could not do for me what she had wished, himself to hold on grimly, to find a new job for his old age, to keep from becoming a burden on me. At last we were coming to the end, to that last figure in dollars and cents. I caught his suspense, and we talked little now. I knew the price at which he was selling, and toward that figure I watched the debts creep slowly up. I saw them creep over, and knew that we had not a dollar left to live on. And still the debts kept mounting. How small they were, these last ones, a coil of rope, 2 kegs of paint, the irony of it compared to the bigness of his life. Still these little figures climbed. At last he handed me his balance. He was in debt $4,146.17. He had risen from his old office chair. "Well, son, I guess that ends our work." "Yes, sir." He went out of the office. I sat there dully for some time. Then I remember there came a harsh scream from a freight engine close outside, and I looked out of the window. The harbor of big companies, uglier than I had ever seen it, no longer dotted with white sails, but clouded with the smoke and soot of an age of steam and iron, lay sprawled out there like a thing alive. Always changing, always growing, it had crushed the life out of my father and mother, and now it was ready for Sue and me. I've got to stay here and make money. Goodbye to the beautiful city of grays. A clock in an outer room struck 5. In Paris it was 10 o'clock, and those friends of mine from all countries were crowding into the Dirty Spoon. I could see them sauntering one by one on that summer's night down the gay old Boulevard Saint-Michel and dropping into their seats at the table in a corner. How am I going to make money? By writing? I thought of de Maupassant and the rest, and the 2 years I had spent in trying to make vivid and real the life I had seen. In these last anxious weeks I had sent some of my Paris sketches to magazine offices in New York. They had all been returned with printed slips of rejection, except in one case where the editor wrote, "This is a good piece of writing, but the subject is too remote. Why not try something nearer home?" All right, I thought, what's near me here? Let's see. There's a cloud of yellow smoke I can do, with a brand new tug below it dragging a string of good big barges. What are they loaded with? Standard Oil. Wait till they get closer and I can even describe the smell. No, I concluded savagely. Let's keep my writing clean out of this hole and get the money some other way. Then suddenly I forgot myself and thought of my stern, brave old dad. What under the sun was he going to do? That week he mortgaged our house on the Heights for $5,000. With this he paid off all his debts and put the balance in the bank. Then from the big dock company he got a job in his own warehouse at $100 a month. "Kind of 'em," he said gruffly. He was 65 years old. They were even kind enough to add to that a job for me. I sat at the desk next to his, and I was paid $10 a week. Sue let the servants go, hired one green German girl, and said she knew that she could run a house on $120 a month. But the August bills went over that, so we drew money out of the bank. My father had bronchitis that week. We managed to keep him in bed for 3 days, but then he struggled up and dressed and went back to his desk in the warehouse. "Keep your eye on him down there," said Sue. "He's so terribly feeble." "This can't go on," I told her. "I must make more than $10 a week." Again I sent out some of my sketches. Again the magazine sent them back. I went to a newspaper office, but there an ironical office boy, with the aid of the city editor, made me feel that reporting was not in my line. What other work could I find to do? How much time did I have? How long was my father going to last? I watched his face and our bank account. I studied the want ads in the press. But the more I studied, the smaller I felt, for this was one of the years of depression. 200,000 in New York idle. I read it in a headline. Here was literature that gripped. I guess I'll stay right where I am. It's safer, I thought anxiously. Perhaps if I work hard enough, they'll give me a raise at Christmas. When Dad was my age, he kept 2 sets of books, one by day and the other by night. How can I make my evenings pay? I took long walks in Brooklyn and picked up night work here and there. It was monotonous clerical work, and being slow at figures I was often at it till midnight. Very late one evening, while making out bills in a hardware store, I suddenly came to a customer whose initials were J.K. It started me thinking of Joe Kramer and our last long talk about hay. So, this is hay, I told myself. How long will it take me to get a hay mind back here by this damned harbor? End of chapter 3. Recording by Tom Weiss.